Hello, Redwall Survivor, and a big welcome to all the ROC and Redwall fans everywhere. Today on FOXPENMANSHIP, we will be discussing Netflix's exciting new announcement regarding the new Redwall animated movie and television series based on, yes, that's right, the Martin the Warrior. Yes, as reported by Variety on February 10th, Netflix has acquired the rights to all 22 of Brian Jake's Redwall books and a deal with the series' long-standing publisher, Penguin Random House Children. Furthermore, Netflix has announced, also on February 10th, and we saw this on Twitter for those of you in the know-how, that Patrick McHale, creator of the Cartoon Network's Emmy Award-winning show Over the Garden Wall, will be writing the new Redwall movie. Netflix is also planning a series based, of course, on Redwall, Martin the Warrior. So that's cool. We get a movie and a series. And this episode's very exciting. We're going to be discussing that. I also have a few guests I'm going to introduce one by one. Some of you are familiar, of course, with multiple Mossflower Odyssey competition writer and ROC member, Nara. Say hello, Nara.
Hello, Nara. I'm sorry. I'm a father. I get to make these jokes. But I shouldn't drag the rest of you down.
No, it's great. It's great. It's good to know that people have lives outside, just outside the walls.
Outside anything. Outside our houses, outside yeah.
Also joining us today, we have the current owner and operator of RedwallSurvivor.com. He's an MO contest writer as well as a head runner. Let's welcome Airan. Hello, Airan.
Hey, how are you guys doing?
Well, how are you?
Pretty good. Ready to talk shop, talk the new Redwall cartoon. Or movie, whatever it ends up being.
Yeah, it's true, and that's part of what we're going to discuss today. I'm also going to introduce my personal longtime friend, as well as occasional vlogger, writer. We have a author review, and one of the dude that owns and operates the brand of Death of the Author, deathoftheauthor.com. Of course, let's welcome Chelsey.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, Chelsey. How you doing?
Oh, not bad.
Excellent. So, we're all Redwall fans here, and we're all very appreciates. This is pretty exciting news for us. Of course, we know we're going to be getting a Redwall movie, and of course, in theory, let's all. This whole episode is in quotation marks. Let's just get that out there right now. We also, in theory, have a series of Martin the Warrior coming on. I just want to start. What are your favorite Redwall books, guys? What are your favorite books? What do you want to see on the screen? Just like we did way back in the early 2000s.
Oh,
okay. Who wants to start with that?
Yes, I'm going in hard.
God, you asked the hard questions.
I guess I'll begin. So my top 3 favorite books in this series are Mossflower, Bellmaker, and Outcast of Redwall. While I personally don't think they're going to touch Outcast with a 10-foot pole, I do think Mossflower seems pretty likely. And maybe if they get around to Marielle, they'll make a Bellmaker adaptation too. We'll see.
That would be fun. I think, Mossflower is probably the one that is most eagerly anticipated by people. It's just so integral to the Redwall universe lore and establishes so many of the mythical figures. I'm gonna say my favorite is the book that doesn't matter at all, Marl Fox. I love Marl Fox. Purely because I think out of all the books, if memory serves, it has a significant amount more poetry. There's more puzzles. There's more poems and songs than some of the other books in the series. So I always remember that one as a little more whimsical and just fun, more imaginative, more centered around a fantasy world. That's why I like Marl Fox. Also, foxes. Can't go wrong with foxes. Apparently you can.
Apparently they're not so trustworthy.
You're all laughing here with me.
Oh, good. Oh, dear. Oh, no.
Oh,
if I remember rightly, my favourite was Mossflower itself. because although it's one of the older ones, one of the first written, it was kind of right between the. I'm not going to say shaky start, just the fact that Redwall was written as the first book. It wasn't really going to be a series, so it had all of the odd bits like horses and the reference to an abbey, which of course stayed, but no other mention of organized religion survives. But Mossflower, the book, I remember sinking a lot deeper into the flavor and the mythos, and really being very satisfied. Yeah, that's me, Mossflower, I think.
Yeah, it's like I said before, it's very important in the lore because it's one of the first ones. Jax went back or Jake's rather, went back and started actually building his world.
Yeah, definitely.
I think my favorite one that I would love to see was Lord Brocktree.
Oh, I love Lord Brocktree.
Like, it had one of the most traumatizing endings of all of them. But I loved how it went back and like kind of took this like lesser known place, like Salamandastron, and like elaborated on its origin stories. And I always thought the Badgers were kind of cool.
Oh yeah, the Badgers. You love the Badgers. Everybody loves Salamandastron, or however you pronounce it. I say Salamandastron. How did you say it, Chelsey?
Salamandastron?
Salamandastron, which probably makes more sense because salamanders and fire and volcanoes. Yeah.
That's how I always said it, but after hearing Jake's pronounce it, I started calling it Salamandastron. Yeah.
I'm no authority because I've been calling him Jack Hughes for many years.
Brian Jack Hughes.
I still say it Jax, like I'm French.
I mean, that's fair. It probably was pronounced French until the mid 20th century, likely. We imported an awful lot of names from France over here in England.
It's true. Redwall's one of those series where it was like one of my first major series, and it like taught me a lot about like grammar, writing, the English language. So I learned it very phonetically. There's things that I know I'm not pronouncing right, but I just can't help it. It's been like 20 years, man.
Yeah. I have in my memory a poem, and I think it was the marching song of one of the shrews in one of the books, and it really heavily seems to emphasize that Salamandastron, the syllables, none of them are emphasized, none of them are, which is interesting because you say that Jakes himself pronounces it Dastron. Salamandastron. Is that right?
I believe so. In the interviews that I've heard, he's always said it like that.
Fair enough.
Well, he's dead. He can't stop us.
Salamandastron.
And he can't stop Netflix either. Oh no.
Should put that on his grave.
Ooh, the rights are ours.
He's gonna make an appearance in the book as Salamandastroni soup.
Oh, that's good.
I'm sorry, I'm a father. It's the jokes. I can't stop making them.
Now, on that note, actually, that you're a father, I just want to get a parent's perspective. What kind of formatting, how do you want these episodes to be presented? Because we know that this show is probably going to bank a lot on nostalgic fans like us. I mean, how long have I been in the ROC? Decades at this point.
Yeah.
I'm still here.
Oh, same, yeah. It's been nearly 20, well, it has been 20 years for me now. I hit 35 this month. And I was definitely south of 15 when I first started on the ROC, so that's terrifying. It's been more than half my life.
Yeah, it's got a huge influence. So we know the show is it's gonna have to cater to us. But what about the kids? What kind of animation do you want them to see? Do you want to see the style of animation we grew up with like the hand drawn, the line art, the original cartoon, or are we expecting, or do we want perhaps CGI, the more modern style of animation?
So, what, from the parental perspective?
What do you think the kids will enjoy more?
Well, I think the tried and true is very much one of those, one of those visibly computer animated but still 2D shows. I'm thinking of quite a few of the Disney TV series. The Tangled derivative, that was one. Lots of the cut scenes and the tapestry scenes from the Kung Fu Panda movies, that sort of. I suspect that's what would sell. But then you've got this flip side of they're catering to nostalgia, and they've brought in the scriptwriter from Over the Garden Wall, which is a very interesting move, and kind of says they're going to be playing more into folklore and not necessarily spirituality, but into mysticism in various, a little bit more than we might expect. So I think they're going to veer it for teens, honestly.
Interesting.
I think it'll be the sort of show that you could watch as a kid, that you could definitely watch as a teenager, but that you would mostly appreciate as a nostalgic adult watching back.
All right.
Does that mean more like blood and guts, or does that what does that even look like?
Are we going Game of Thrones here?
Big question, because the books are gory. They're really bad. Some of them are horrendous. Malfox. Malfox is the one I'm thinking of, isn't it? Where one of the characters has bolas. And Jakes quite vividly describes this character hurling the bolas and crushing a child's skull. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
and
okay. Good lord.
Let's not forget Lady Crega Roseeyes of Long Patrol fame. She was blinded by having her face hacked at repeatedly whilst in Blood Rage, and she just kept fighting through it. But her face was hacked to bits. She lost her eyes.
Yeah. So there is a lot in there, and
not worry, but the traumatic ending of Brocktree, as was already mentioned.
Oh, yeah. So there's the parents' perspective. For the rest of us without responsibilities. Personally, I want to see a combination. I want to see really nice hand-drawn animation, but I also if I don't want the effects to be cheesy, right? Like sometimes, especially those old 90s, early 2000s cartoons, they were kind of made for cheap, and you can tell in some places. But cartoon technology, it's all improved. So I'm hoping for something along the quality of Over the Garden, which has a connection to the show now. So if we can get that quality, even if it's simple, it'll still be nice and it'll still suit the books, I think.
I think the other big factor there is that Redwall's already had an absolutely a limited budget mid-90s TV series, cartoon series. So Netflix will be very eager not to repeat that. It did get a couple of seasons, didn't it?
I wonder if it being the Nelvana cartoon being 2D will make them hesitant to make it 2D again.
Possible.
It's interesting. So long as they don't give it the Watership Down treatment.
Please
I've said this several times.
That was an odd one, wasn't it? Because the animation style was just... It was new, it was interesting, but it wasn't compelling. But the voice work was brilliant, so I have no idea how to feel about Watership Down.
Voice work and acting in Watership Down is really nice. And there are parts in the animation style I do like. Fiverr's visions are an interesting style. And of course the prologue explaining the lore is a really nice 2D scene. But the rest of Watership Down's animation just doesn't quite cut it. You know what I'm afraid they're going to do? I'm afraid they're going to make the show, and this is a great show, so it's nothing against it, but I've been afraid they're going to go a Dragon Prince route, where it's like a self-shaded CGI show, and it has limited 30 frames per second, and so the animation's going to look really jittery and not fully finished, if that makes sense. Dragon Prince is a really great show, but the animation is kind of weird and hard to get used to.
That's just, I haven't seen the show. I've only seen still shots, so I actually cannot say anything to that. At first, I was actually struck how much it looked like Avatar.
Oh yeah. It's pretty similar in tone too. So, I wouldn't be
It's the
surprised.
same writers, actually.
Oh yeah.
That's why.
Say.
Yeah. And then they also ported over a voice actor, the guy who plays Sokka. I don't know his name, but
Oh, okay.
so there's a big overlap there.
Interesting. And just like Netflix, we all know how notorious they can be for giving shows the axe. They have 22 stories to choose from in the Redwall Chronicles. They've already announced 2. Again, in quotations.
Well,
Redwall
kind of,
Hunter
yeah.
Warrior.
The press release is quite specific, isn't it? It says they're going to do Mossflower as a movie. No, sorry. The movie
Redwall
will be
is a
based on Redwall. Yep. And then the TV show will tackle the story of Martin the Warrior. But it doesn't actually italicize it. It doesn't
It
tell
actually
me that it's working off Martin's entire life as a series rather than just the book.
It did actually specifically mention Abbas Germain too. That's a lot of the reason why I'm hopeful for Mossflower, but they could do a thing where they start from Martin and then go through Mossflower and even tackle Legend of Luke.
Yeah, I was actually about to bring up Legend of Luke. Yeah, they have 22
That
books
would
to
be
choose from, and they've decided to word Martin how they're going to cover it a little strange. It makes me think, are they going to bring in original material, or are they just going to do their own adaptation of Martin the Warrior? Or, Legend of Luke. Martin the Warrior, whatever story they end up doing. All in quotations.
I've considered the possibility of them like doing original content, and like if they can pull it off, great. But I don't know how well it'll handle. Though, part of me would also just enjoy Martin and Gomph just having romps in the woods, running into random villains of the week. Sounds like it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
sorry, go ahead, Chelsey.
I think that would be a good way, like, if we were wondering how they were going to distance themselves from the 90s series, is, like, keep that, like, 2D animation, but then, like, just cover something completely different, which would be, like, Mossflower.
Yeah, because the cartoon series did cover the events of Redwall, the book, didn't it? So basing a movie off the same thing is, it's a reboot, but it's also a bit gutsy.
But didn't they do, like, a whole Martin TV show?
Yep.
Yeah. It was...
The series covered Redwall, Matamayo, and Martin.
Yeah. So they could do the Mossflower route and still keep Martin as a character and maybe cover some of Martin the Warrior too. And then they've got a whole new series, but like 2 books.
Yeah, I'd like it if they did that. And just harkening back a little bit to original material, if they added a little bit that further explained the world itself, added on to Jake's world a little bit. Like, why are they in an abbey? Why an abbey? Is there a religion? We know there's like a Hell's Gates. We know there's like, what's his name? Vulpes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if they added a little bit, especially to the earlier stories, like Martin or Mossflower, especially because Mossflower is one of the few times you actually see some species in a prominent role, like wildcats. You don't get that for a long time. Again, so if they're adding a little more mythos to this cartoon that already has a special species, as far as the lore is concerned, I think that would be very fitting. So if they did explain something new, like religion a little bit.
It's true.
It'd be appropriate because it's early in the chronology, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And now that you mention it, I never realized that there was such a big hole there where it's like, oh yeah, they're in an abbey, which is technically a religious thing, but nobody has ever... Yeah.
Jake's was pretty big on saying that, like, oh no, they don't really have a religion, they just kind of practice peace, whatever that means. But like, but I mean, they know what a church is. Saint Ninian's is down the road.
They have saints.
Yeah, they know what a saint is. There is an abbey. I'm curious what that they pray. They literally pray. And it's not just the first book, so it's not just an anomaly of the first book. So who knows?
And all their saints are like warriors mostly, so it's like, what are they worshipping?
I genuinely wonder if they'll if Netflix will give Volpez a like actual prominent mythos, because he literally only is mentioned in like 2 lines in Tagarung, and the fanfiction writers just went with it.
As we do.
Yeah.
Have you heard about these contests called Mossflower Odyssey?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Have you guys heard of them? I hear they're pretty cool.
I actually haven't.
Think you're cool. With regards to original content and all that, this isn't the first time Netflix has bought the rights to the same kind of genre, the same kind of feel to a story. We all know what happened with the Mouse Guard.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. I think there was a combo from Disney and Netflix that put that one down.
I think Fox was actually making it, if
Fox?
I recall. Yeah, I think so. Even still.
Yeah. So
hopefully Disney doesn't buy Netflix anytime soon.
Oh, good lord! I mean, they own half the world. Why not? But things like the Mouse Guard, which has a very strong fan following, which is a good piece of literature, a good piece of story there. And as well as Netflix also has this habit of having shows start for a season, and then even though they have rave reviews, they're considered the best comedy, drama, whatever cartoon on TV at the time, they'll nix them after a single season. Do we think Redwall is going to be at risk for that? For whatever reason, say it starts after one season and doesn't immediately pick up. Is Netflix going to be patient enough for it?
I think Netflix buying the rights to all the books means they have some level of confidence. Because I mean, they could always just buy the rights to one book and then buy the rights to the other ones later if it performed well. But them just outright buying all the rights to all of them, I don't totally know how all that works, but I don't know, it shows confidence to me, so I don't know. Depends, of course, how well the movie goes. I guess that's probably the one they'll make first.
Yeah, odds on. I kind of I would be more concerned if they only did seasons, because the other thing Netflix has a very big habit of is getting a dream team on for season 1.
Oh yeah.
But then they're not sure how season 1's going to do, and they don't renew the dream team's contracts, and then they realise they do want to do a season 2, but by that point all they have are interns.
Oh my god.
There are many popular shows on Netflix that were brilliant for season 1, and you jump into season 2 and it hurts. It's like you've gone from characters who have veiled dialogue with 2 or 3 layers of meaning being tense at each other to characters banging on about 1,000-year prophecy and a chosen one. You're like, oh, no more of that. So here's hoping that it doesn't get 2 series. I could live with it getting 1. I could live with it getting 5.
Yes,
2 might
that
not
is
be so
a good other side of the coin right there. Quit while you're ahead kind of deal. Well, Chelsey, you have any perspective in that you review a lot of books. Have you noticed like Netflix covering any of these books? And if you have, is there a trend where Netflix takes advantage of its source material, or are they leaning more towards original content these days?
I feel like Netflix has been doing more and more of taking known books and turning them into shows. Like you've got the first one I can think of is the Lemony Snicket series, a series of unfortunate events.
Very good adaptation, by the way.
It's excellent. I mean, like people hate the movie. I loved the movie just for what it was.
I'm actually in the same boat. I think the film is pretty good for what it is.
Yeah, like Not close to the book, but just entertaining as hell. But yeah, so they have done more, I think, adaptations, and I can't think of any others off the top of my head, but like, I think they're kind of leaning to, like, everybody's leaning towards that, like the tried and true. They've done other adaptation is The Umbrella Academy, which was a graphic novel. So
yes, Gerard Way of My Chemical Romance wrote that.
I know, right?
Blew my mind when I put two and two together. I was staring at the credits on Netflix, going, "Wait."
They also adapted. They also adapted The Witcher, which kind of depends on what you feel about The Witcher, but
The Witcher is what happens when you're inspired by Game of Thrones, just like Troy is what happens when you're inspired by Lord of the Rings.
Not a book, but I love their adaptation of Castlevania. Though
I'll give that one to you.
Not really for kids, though.
No, not so much. I'm scrolling through a list of Netflix book adaptations and realizing I've watched none of them.
Oh,
I'm just like, I have absolutely nothing to contribute here. Why am I even saying it out loud? I don't know.
Welcome to the party. That's why Chelsea's here.
Altered Carbon was a novel adaptation. Okay. Yeah, that one's very much, extremely mature. But that's also absolutely the flagship for me of Netflix's. Season 1, excellent. Season 2, written by interns.
Which one was that?
Altered Carbon. I didn't get past episode 2 of season 2.
Oh no!
But season 1 was excellent. Also quite a difficult watch, but by and large a rewarding one. And then all of the reward got taken away in season. So yeah, that's me being mean about Netflix shows.
Glad to have you here, buddy.
Yep.
So
there is another adaptation that is probably might have some influence on how they play a Redwall adaptation out, and that's Beastars.
Oh, Beastars.
Yeah, and again, very mature. Don't watch it if you're south of 18 or 21.
I'm a manga reader of Beastars, so.
But,
the way the anime handles the manga content is very much different, but also very good.
And that seems to be something they are quite good at, is actually adapting their material. And this might be an artifact of the whole TV binge culture thing, because Netflix changed the way TV was made because people started sitting down and watching an entire season in 3 days. Now so many people do it that they write 13-part stories instead of a 13-episode show. And hopefully, I think hopefully, that's what's going to happen with Redwall.
I wouldn't mind. Whether, like, cartoons back in the old days used to be 22, 26 episodes per season, half-hour episodes.
Oh, Lord.
If we get, like, 10 one-hour episodes of Martin the Warrior, let's just say because they happen to mention that one, I think that is plenty of time. Plenty.
That'd be a lot of content.
Yeah, like, it's almost too much. They could add a lot of detail and really drive the series into, like, glory if they wanted to that much time.
Or even slow down the pace and really build on things. Like, I could see an entire episode. I think I've mentioned this in the Survivor Discord, but I could see an entire episode literally just about the Mask chapter.
Oh, yeah.
Like, entire episode Mask infiltrating. I can't remember the Cotier. Cotier and like saving the Divins. I could see that being entire. Yeah, I could see that being an entire episode.
Easily.
Yeah.
And bear
And
in
with
mind,
that much time, sorry, Nara, to cut you off, but just with that much time too, like 10 episodes, each an hour long, in quotations. I just pulled that out of nowhere. No source has said that's what we're getting. That they could really weave in future stories too and set up the universe. Same thing as the Marvel universe is done theatrically. They could really get something going and dig a nice foundation for the franchise to last.
bearing in mind with Over the Garden Wall, that's 10 episodes at 20 minutes. And that got an enormous amount of story told in just those 200 minutes of anime. So 10 episodes at an hour each would be a series of short films. I don't know. It's just something.
It's true. We could do what the Hobbit did. Peter Jackson.
Oh, God.
Let's take this like 120-page book and let's just pour like 5 hours of film into it.
I kind of doubt that they would do
I hope they
an
don't.
hour. I kind of doubt that they would do an hour episode because it's animation and it's expensive, right?
Yeah.
They'll probably do 10 episodes at 20 minutes each because it's cheaper.
Most likely.
And I mean, the stories themselves aren't too complex. So with 20 minutes, you could pack a lot of punch. You could get a lot in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, easily. Especially if it's if you are following the journeys of Martin, then what have you got? You've got Martin and Gonf and somebody else for the week.
Yeah.
Combined
Yeah,
with,
big character of the
follow that
episode.
same format. Yeah, you'll have two characters who talk a fair amount, and then interactions with whoever else happens to be around. You could fill 20 minutes with that pretty well, I think.
Indeed. Now, how long is this movie? Are we talking hour and 20 minutes? Because children have short attention spans. Or are we talking 3-hour fanfare fodder extravaganza because they know we're watching?
Wouldn't that be fantastic? If what had actually happened here was that Netflix had just accidentally discovered that 2/3 of their production staff watched and just read and devoured Redwall as kids. You've got 2/3 of their production staff just going, we are going to make the perfect movie and the perfect TV show, and it's going to be 5 times longer than anything else we've produced, and we're going to put all this money into it. And we can just sit there like, yeah, that's the way to do it.
That's the good stuff.
It's like, we want slow, gorgeous flyovers showcasing every part of Redwall's architecture. We want you to have designed the eaves yourselves.
Yeah,
Hello,
show me the world, show me the River Moss, show me the Northlands. I want to see what Kotir looks like. I want to see Marshank. I want to know the hallways of Redwall because I can analyze the show shot for shot and come up with a blueprint.
I want to see every grey hair on the abbot's head.
Yeah, if Methuselah does not look like one good gust of wind can take him out, you ain't getting it right.
That's actually my number one of the show. Isn't like, I genuinely just want Redwall itself to like look, not empty, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
There's that piece of concept art they shared, which may have been plagiarized, but we won't get into that. But it's still like a accurate picture of like what I think Redwall looks like. Like, I want to see the dust motes in the air. I want to kind of see the candlelight flickering on the walls,
Show me the threads in the tapestry.
Yeah,
and that tapestry has to impress me. I understand it's a complex telling of an entire series, but that tapestry has to impress me. It's so integral, and it was always so lackluster in the old cartoon. I was like, you know what, Shadow, just keep it.
This is just a random prediction. Okay, this is just a random prediction. Okay, but if they do, regardless of animation style, the scene in the first book where Abbot Mortimer tells like Matthias the Martin lore, where he like kills Sarmina and stuff, 100% when that scene gets animated, it's going to be done in the style of a tapestry drawing.
Absolutely.
I just think that's a prediction of mine.
Such a
Yeah.
it's such a home run,
Mhm.
slam dunk. I don't know what
It'll swap.
people use anymore.
It'll
It's an
swap
easy
to 2D.
Yeah, it'll go to
It'll
2D. There'll be a parchment background, and
Right. Yeah.
yeah, it'll be a stylized Bayo tapestry type deal. Now,
Good.
one thing
I want to see it on Etsy the next day.
yes, I have one interesting observation from a corner of the fandom. Does anybody remember Sean Rubin?
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah, he did art. He did quite a lot of art on Tarouge, and he actually ended up doing art with the Jake's estate towards the end, and he did some of the book covers.
Right. Yep.
So he was a fan who sort of graduated to actually part of the estate, and he had to say on Twitter that yes, he did know about this project, and no, he wasn't allowed to say anything about it, which means he's under a non-disclosure agreement. Which means he's involved. Yeah, which could be pretty fantastic because Sean was always really, really good at making everything look right.
Oh my gosh, that would be fantastic. I mean, he himself is like walking Redwall canon, isn't he?
He is, yes.
That would be great. I mean, he's not only one of us, but he's been around forever, and he's part of the Jake's estate. Like, wow, dude, that's great news. I had not heard that yet.
There's a lot of fun seeing people say what they can't say.
Can we just get him to animate the entire show?
I'll
Oh
wait.
my word.
I will wait.
I
I will wait right here in front of the TV
Sorry,
with a 5-year-old.
I linked a picture in Discord, but if we can just get the show to look like this, I would be 100% happy.
Ooh, watercolor?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd do it. I'd do it.
I
that's
believe.
fantastic.
Sorry, I just found out that's a. I don't even know if that's a Sean Rubin, but
I think it is the pencil work.
okay. Apparently it's a. I guess it's an alternate book cover for Salamandastron.
Yeah, certainly looks like Salamandastron. I'm pretty sure that's Earthstripe right there. Earthwhite. What was his name?
You're right. There's Earthwhite and Earthstripe.
Yeah.
Oh, there. Confusion.
Yeah. Wow, that's great. There's so many great artists that came out of the ROC. I mean, we've been privileged. We've been able to watch people and each other grow up in here, basically. And so many great artists and writers got their start because they went onto like EasyBoard one day and typed in Redwall and found themselves at Tarouge or Redwall Survivor or Redwall Beach or Dibbins Against Bedtime, The Long Patrol, all the old websites.
Against bedtime.
They're still around, eh?
They are.
Yeah, good for
There was
them.
that fantastic story. They actually got mentioned in one of the books. I can't remember which one.
Triss, I think.
Triss.
Yeah,
They show up
sounds
again
right.
in later books too.
Yeah, they're like officially part of the Redwall canon now. That's how beloved they were.
Oh, they did so well. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of shows the I'm gonna use the phrase cult in the sense that, a lot of things are cult hits. You get TV shows that are well beloved past their time. Over the Garden Wall was a good example. It's thematically linked right now. And Redwall definitely has cult status. The fact that the communities are still somehow just about going, even after 10 years of nothing? Brilliant.
Longer.
Quite impressive.
I mean, we got one book that was published post passing. I think that was the Sable Queen.
Roku, but yeah.
Road Crew. Okay, thank you. And I mean, even before that, the ROC was dwindling a little. People were growing up, starting their own families, didn't have time to maintain the old '90s website style.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I think the way the internet's gone too, like with apps replacing actual forums and like Discord and Zune replacing chat rooms, that we're gonna see a resurgence of the ROC, but it's gonna look completely different, I think.
Oh, definitely. That's a really good point, though. We should make sure that before, if this show does actually get all the way made, we should make sure that there are communities on all of the new communication media to catch people when they fill up and go, ha! We have 30 years of stuff we made online to just bombard you with. And they just go up and go, oh, fanfiction from 1995.
Oh, let's
That's
actually
older
put that
than
one
me.
away. No, it's true. And you'll notice actually today I opened the episode up not by saying my usual hello Redwall Survivor, but by saying hello Redwall Survivor and others.
Yep. Like, and everybody else who's ever been near a Redwall book.
Please, please, we're still here. We are so lonely.
I want to know, like, just like how prevalent was the show? Because I've always thought of it as a Canadian show, but I guess it had an audience in other countries. Yes.
Oh, for sure. 'Cause the series is English from England.
When did the show air? Because I never caught it on TV.
99 to 2001.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, I was a bit young at the time. I was born in '94, so I don't even. I think it was shown on PBS. So I don't even think I caught it. I don't even think I knew that there was a Redwall cartoon until like maybe 10 years ago or so. Which I watched it then, but it wasn't very. I never knew about it here in the States, really.
Yeah.
It shows its age. And it turns out it wasn't English. It wasn't produced in England at all.
No, it's Canadian, French, and German.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. I knew about the Canadian, knew about the French, wasn't sure about the German. It certainly looks English, like a typical late 90s, early 2000s English animation. It has that same, like, Rupert style, Country Mouse, City Mouse kind of look to it.
Probably what they're going for, though. Like, they're like, all right, let's capture that audience. They like all this shit. Well, here's some more mice. Like,
it works. But yeah, it's interesting because it's a Canadian cartoon, and I saw a trailer for the cartoon on the Cartoon Network way back in the day. Said, "Ooh, that looks good." I went to the library and I picked up Redwall and I read it, and I immediately fell in love. Oh. And I mean, that's how I discovered Redwall.
By the cartoon.
Yeah,
I was. Yeah, I watched
got the first...
all of it. Sorry.
Huh. Oh, yeah, my bad. I got the first book as a Christmas gift, just out of the blue from my parents. No, just randomly.
And you've been stuck with their burden ever since.
And yep.
That's it. It's just a generational curse at this point.
Yeah, I think that's why the series is so special. Not Redwall as a whole, not just the TV or the books, but there's so many different medias for it, right? We have the books, of course. I love the books. We have the cartoon. It's not my favorite anymore, but at the time it was near and dear to me. We have all sorts of art communities going on, writing communities going on. There's songs and I think there was a Redwall opera at one point, or like a musical.
There's a graphic novel.
A graphic novel. I have that graphic novel. Yeah, like.
Oh, I need to get a copy.
It's okay. It's pretty good. It's fun. It's got that Redwall feel. It feels like it's very familiar, even though you're just cracking it for the first time. But this series, like, it hits so many media outlets that it can hit so many people up and draw them into the series. And now we have something that's very mainstream. It's not PBS. It's just like the Cartoon Network in the early 2000s when people are still paying for cable, right? It's definitely different. And it's like I said, we're going to see a lot more people coming in. It's going to be different, but that's the beauty of the series. Like it's pretty much, I don't want to say immortal, but it's going to last at least another couple generations.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
And because we've grown up with the series too, like there's some big issues with the series that by today's standards aren't quite accepted anymore, even in a children's literature fantasy story. Of course, we all know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Vermin versus woodlanders.
Yeah.
And the species division that Jakes chose to go with. Now, I'm going to point out this wasn't actually quite true in the first Redwall book. The species division came later on. Abbot Mortimer trades with a traveling fox that carries books.
You don't want to. I don't really know how to describe what I'm. Really, you want species to be almost completely impactless. Almost. You've still got your badger lords; those are important, and I can't imagine that the abbot of Redwall will ever be anything other than a mouse. That feels like it's going to be a traditional thing. But likewise, the ideal for me, I think, is where not only do Netflix say, okay, species is now almost completely irrelevant. We're not going to attach morality to species at all. Not only do they do that, but they also kind of... They don't say... how do I even communicate? They don't say, we are changing the way things are because we feel it needs to be changed in the narrative. They just say, this is the way things are. We are retelling the story, and this is the way we're choosing to retell it, and that's it. Final. And I think there is a pop culture, a very recent pop culture thing, actually, that hopefully will inform their decision when it comes to this. Dungeons and Dragons. 5th edition, right? They recently brought out a book called Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. And the D&D guys were saying, we're doing really well. We're throwing away this whole certain races have certain specific alignments attached. And then the book came out and they found actually that wasn't really what they were doing at all. They'd added a bit more depth to a couple of cultures that were usually considered neutral or chaotic evil, and added a little bit of chop and change, a limited amount of permitted chop and change to your character during character creation. And a lot of people turn around and say, well, this is nowhere near as progressive as you said it was going to be. There's a lot of problems with the Forgotten Realms as a setting. There's a lot of problems with this species and races having their own attached alignment, forced down a particular moral path for the sake of the rules. It's very deontological and it's very vitalist, and it's just plain unpleasant. And you said you were going to fix that, and you really kind of haven't. So there's loads of people coming up with homebrew stuff, but I think that the generally perceived failure of Tasha's Cauldron of Everything to deal with that in the D&D context will hopefully maybe push Netflix to go a little bit further, be a little bit more assertive, and say, nope, species not attached to goodness and badness at all, go away.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that. And they wouldn't even have to be subtle about it. They could really, we're starting with Redwall, so there's a few characters they could just throw in there. They could start by accentuating, here's that fox book trader that is mentioned, but we never hear of again. This is here to show you, it's just a fox, just a trader, whatever, doing stuff. They could show Clooney ruining the lives of quote-unquote vermin species in Mossflower. We could see some of this just to really drive home the point. This isn't a division. This is just war at this point.
Yeah. And I do think that's important for the current. I mean, you could probably have let it go in 2005, maybe a little bit later than that. They could still have gotten away with making a show that still had this really fierce subscription to ideological divide, but yeah, not in the modern age, not in the here and now.
No, I mean, sorry, go ahead, Chelsey.
I don't think it would be too much of an issue if they went in and they picked a couple of secondary characters or whatever and just changed them to a stoat or something. Who's gonna notice?
Yeah. Turn an otter into a weasel in swimming trunks. Same thing.
Just put a weasel that wants to be an otter,
Yeah. Or have them mention yeah, my friend who's or a pine marten. like wrote me and I'm a mouse. Woo! That's how the world works. The fans themselves, the ROC, if you've ever read any Redwall fanfiction, any Survivor contest, MO especially is really good for this Mossflower Odyssey. The fans don't care about your species. Yeah, sometimes they use that, but most of the time you'll see fans treating animals as a character, and there's no real... Hardly anyone goes for that angle anymore. The Woodlander versus Vermin, unless it's like a major character flaw. Kentrith McGrath in MO3, for example. He was considered crazy because he was all like, vermin, what. That was his flaw.
It's also interesting you said they don't do that anymore, because that's completely true. The very first ROCS, Redwall Survivor, way back in the day, did. It quite fiercely subscribed to good beasts are good and vermins are vermins. And I think ROCS kept subscribing to that all the way through. They ran 4, maybe 5 contests before they packed it in.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was the other contest that said, okay, yeah, I mean, we get that you're being traditionalist and that's all well and good, but by our experience, 95% the fan base do not like moral restrictivism, so we're just going to let them play with it. Yeah.
And it's more fun that way. It's more fun when you're not restricting characters. Like, I love burbs. Everybody knows I love burbs. Burbs in the books are typically either neutral or bad. Like, there's only a few exceptions where birds are good characters, and in that case, they're one of the main characters. Sunflash's friend, the kite. What was the kite's name?
Scarlath, I think.
Yes, that sounds familiar enough that I'm just going to agree with it. Yeah, or the sparrows of Redwall, like, and they start neutral and they're at odds, and it's only because they have like a mutual need to get Clooney out of there that they start working together.
Yeah.
So I think yeah, if Netflix just all of a sudden dropped a bunch of like NPC rats running around Redwall Abbey, or a couple of stoats, maybe a ferret or two, like I'd be okay with that.
Honestly, yeah.
I think Redwall would be more lush with that kind of a presence.
For sure. And it makes the story less predictable, too, because I remember as a kid being like, oh, look, there's a stoat. Well, obviously he's going to turn out bad. Like, just as you're watching it visually, you're like, oh, that's a bad person, that's a good person. So having that, like, you actually having to, like, look at the character would just make it stronger in general.
Yeah, and I mean, harkening back to what Aaron said right at the beginning of the episode, I don't think Netflix is going to touch Outcast of Redwall anytime soon, exclusively because this book has the opportunity to deal with speciesism and squanders it. They botch it.
It's even worse, though, isn't it? Because it gets to like halfway through Act 3, and you think maybe this is going to pay off, and then it just swerves straight back in. You're like, oh, okay, right. Why did I read this one?
I think poor Vale, that character pissed a lot of readers off. I remember even as a kid being disappointed, like, really? Come on, you abused the kid his whole life. Of course he's going to turn out to be a nasty gob.
I'm less annoyed with Vale and more Bryony.
Yeah.
Yeah, she does kind of commit to it, doesn't she?
I love Outcast. It's one of my favorite books.
Like, the entire trajectory of those two put together is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love Outcast. It's one of my favorite books, but my biggest problem with the book is the ending, and not just Bryony saying that Vale is evil, but being immediately told by the Redwall elders that she's right in her thinking for that. And that she's like suddenly wiser and has grown, and they're just like, "Oh, that's good enough to be the abbess of Redwall. You're now the abbess. Way to go!"
Yeah. So
like,
finally, and fully committed to the concept of racism. And only now do
yeah.
you know that you are fit to be our community leader.
Yeah.
And you're like, ooh, oh dear. Oh dear.
Quite the
Sorry.
opposite. Quite the
Sorry.
opposite of the Pearls of Lucha, where you have Romska and the other abbot. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
And he's all like, "Redeem yourself. You don't have to be a pirate."
I feel if they do adapt Outcast, the ending will be changed.
Oh, I honestly do not think they could get away with it anymore. Thank goodness.
Right.
Thank goodness they shouldn't get away with it anymore because it's a stupid ending.
Oh yeah.
We all heard that swear word trying to come out, right? Yeah.
My bold prediction about all this is that they just won't even mention it.
No, I don't think they would.
It'll depend entirely on like the vermin woodlander divide. It'll depend entirely on how much like how many seasons they're doing. Because if they only do one movie and one season of a show, it's really not that important or worth really going into, you know? Because otherwise you just have villains or something for a season, and they just so happen to be rats. But like if you did 12 seasons of the show or something, and you would eventually get people that start going, wait, why are the rats always... You know, that's when they'd probably have to start making changes and start pointing it out, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Not that I'm saying it doesn't need to be changed, because it does. But
yeah,
I feel like...
it's a black and white issue that we can talk about all day, but in the end, I don't see how Cast of Redwall being appropriate by the way it is.
I think you would have to remove the... Sorry.
No, you go right ahead.
I think you would have to remove... You'd have to start it from the position of already having removed this whole vermin are evil and good beasts are good. And if you got there... If you'd removed that, and actually your only concern was he is the son of this warlord, this awful warlord, and you were only playing it along the family lines, you could probably still tell the story. And I think
100%.
could still make it work.
But
you have to pull that species vitalism right out from underneath.
Yeah, I'd actually like to see them deal with it on a like completely flip the image and have Vale is like acknowledge that he is abused by some of the Abbey dwellers, and have Bryony always there defending him until the end, and have like her gaslit and that be an issue, like a huge arc in the story, and that's how they reconcile. And through it all, no matter what, Vale, he's not evil, he saves Bryony, and that's where they end his arc. He was always a good guy, and he always overcame the stereotypes that were forced against him, and the Abbey dwellers have to learn their dang lesson for once.
And Bryony only gives in and says that he's evil in order to stop the authority figures from just constantly bearing down.
Yeah, that would work. Or even she's just like, you know what, you guys jerks. I'm in charge now. We're not going to do this to children anymore. We're an Abbey. We're supposed to preach peace. If someone dumps a litter of kits outside a door, I don't care if they have fang or claw or fish scales. They're coming in and
I don't care if it says a present from Clooney.
So long as it ain't that guy.
Yeah, okay.
Something like that. Like they could take that story and use it constructively while still like remaining loyal to the literal words that are spoken, but just say them a different way, tell it a different story.
And it would be interesting to have Vale as the protagonist of the show for a few episodes.
It would. I mean,
who knows?
Severely underused.
That would be around season 3, probably, if season 3 happens.
If they
so we're talking many years from.
Yeah, it would be a while. If they did an Outcast adaptation, I would want 3 specific changes. I've already said the ending, but the other 2, I want Bluefin to show up and be an important character.
Bluefin.
And then the other thing is we desperately need to see Vale's childhood.
Yeah.
It's kind of implied that Bryony coddles him, and the Redwallers just are jerks all the time to him. So he's like just kind of an entitled teenager, basically. But at the same time, like, if we can see his childhood, then we can, like, know if he's a good or bad character,
Yeah. That would help.
Fold his
I
fold
still
him as a kid into the previous episodes, whatever they are, the episodes that come in beforehand.
I still think Vale should be kept, like, morally gray, but, like, I don't know. I think he should have reasons for why he's morally gray, and not just because of what he was born as.
Definitely.
Well, I mean, you could spin it like they always like judge him for what he is, and that kind of turns him kind of, right, I'll be what you want me to be then.
Alright, fine.
I'll go be a warlord like my dad.
Yeah, so there.
They'll treat me better.
That's honestly kind of what happens too. They like throw him out, which technically tries to kill a guy, but they throw him out, and then he immediately is like, "Oh yeah, well I'll come back and take over this place."
Yeah,
and I'm like,
it
do it,
quite
Vale.
work out that way.
Yeah. But I mean, you can't really name a kid the anagram of the word evil without a kind
and
of.
make such a strong point of it as well. That came up, like at least 3 times over the course of the book. They're like, but Vale is an anagram of evil, Bryony. That's why he's evil. And you're like, then
who the fuck named him?
Did you call him that?
Yeah, they named him. They named him. The Redwallers named him that.
Then you know what, Badger Lady? I'm going to call him Doog.
Dogo.
Dogo, yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Poor Vale didn't have a chance.
No, he did not.
He really didn't. Like,
Not
even
in
Rago's son, Klitch, had a better upbringing.
Oh, God. You're not wrong.
No. He at least knew his daddy. He had a friend, that dopey ferret buddy.
Which book was he again?
Salamandastra.
Klitch and... God, what's his name? Grooven or something? No, Grooven's from Tagaroon. I don't know. I can't recall the name.
There's so many.
I have a question for everybody. How do you think they're going to handle the sizes of the characters?
Ooh,
that's a great question.
There's a good question. Honestly, ask any member of the ROC, and they will give you a different answer.
I'm just wondering, like,
realism.
I'm literally wondering if they scale it down and like try to make it, more like the Nelvana cartoon or something, like how that might affect the first book. Because like in the first book, it's like really like it's implied Gingivere is like huge.
Well, yeah, Constance herself, a badger, lifts a great table over her head.
Yeah. So I'm like, how big are the characters going to be? Or are they going to be scaled down?
I think we're gonna see relative size.
Are we gonna?
So like badgers will be bodybuilders, hares will be like MMA fighters, mice will be like dumpy clerks or something.
I think like the only artist that I've enjoyed making the art like to scale, like the animals, the right sizes and stuff, has been Christopher Denise. He drew the illustrations for the Redwall children's books. And if they could pull that off, I'd be into them doing more realistic sizes. But I wonder exactly how big everything's gonna be.
Or make it easy.
Is a mouse going to be the size of a mouse? Will the trees be like gigantic in comparison? I have no idea what they're going to do with the sizing.
Yeah, I feel like they're gonna have to scale it like to the size of the TV show, because Honestly, the proportions would be insane. Like trying to do a wide shot of a badger
Oh
in
yeah.
a show, you're just gonna have like this tiny little mouse character beside them, and then like
How would the Abbey even get chairs lined up for an event? You know?
yeah, she just
Just
gets her
imagining it.
yeah.
A 40-strong team of mice dragging Badger Lord's chair into place. Could
Which
you
is
imagine
like-
the squeak that chair would make on the floor?
Gosh.
And windows just shatter.
as like the badger's head just drags along the ceiling every time they kind of like stand up a little bit. Like, there's no way.
You have to. Funnily enough, we mentioned it earlier. The anime Beastars has a similar. It's a anthropomorphic furry kind of world. It's like more adult Zootopia if you haven't seen it, but they have all realistic sizing. So like there are doors that are like, some doors are for big animals, and then there's like this really tiny door next to it that's like for mice and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It would be
Zootopia is
charming,
a
but I bet
good
the
one.
animators would be really frustrated.
Oh yeah. They would go
Yeah.
absolutely insane. I'm just
Yeah.
imagining a shot.
Zootopia is a good point. Because they handle everything from shrews up to bears in Zootopia, and the sizes are roughly right.
Mm-hmm.
So, maybe. I would bet money that it'll be something more like, well, I don't think it would even go as far as Beastars. I think there's a sort of... There seems to be a general rule in most of the art I have seen that you don't make any character smaller than a quarter of the size of any other character.
Mm-hmm.
So you can always see them both on screen. Unless they're going to go full, every badger is a giant cryptid, and you have to just sort of haul up a ladder and climb up, and you only get a view of a third of their face while they sort of look at you.
I could see there being some like,
and like,
I
no, I'm just here with your tea bucket.
Whole fucking river to a mouse, like I could drown in it, like.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah. I think for something like Beastars or for something like Zootopia, they're literally making a point about like trying to live together in like what a society that is inclusive would look like, versus Redwall, where it's like, let's have some rats and badgers fight each other. Like,
yeah, they figured
And
this
the
whole living
heavy
together.
implication.
And
Thing.
one horse.
One horse. Yeah. And the heavy implication
Will-
that Redwall Abbey was built by something else and then abandoned.
Will the horse show up? That's my
Oh,
next
good.
question.
where's the horse from?
Redwall.
the first
Clooney
book.
shows up on the horse. Clooney is from
Oh
Portugal.
shit!
FYI.
Yeah.
And it said in the books, Clooney is a Portuguese water rat.
Yeah, he's from Portugal.
Yes. Really specifically from Portugal. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I wonder if the first book was supposed to be written in a kind of like the Mouse Butcher. Humans have disappeared from the world and we're animals, and now we're in charge. And
Hey,
it's kind of thing.
in Sable Queen, there's there's like a plot thing called the Blade Master medal, and it's described as being like silver and has a portrait of like a face of a strange creature on it. So
Excellent. It's a 10-pence piece with the Queen's head on.
So hey, Salamandastron is an extinct volcano.
So
We're all
Brian
dead.
Jake's just doing what we all do and secretly writing post-apocalyptic fanfiction.
Oh yeah.
Brilliant.
Wow.
Yeah, that one horse. The mention of Clooney being from Portugal reminds me that when I first read Redwall, the book, I thought it was kind of meant to be a continuation of The Wind in the Willows.
I believe it was.
Or
actually.
a prequel, perhaps?
Yeah, well, maybe not a prequel, because in Wind in the Willows, the humans were still around. Whereas in Redwall, they'd killed them all. So,
True, and eaten their flesh.
Yes.
As you do. That would
I
explain,
mean, you gotta-
like, why they have a horse-drawn carriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They must have only just finished killing the humans.
They all got
Still
real
farming.
big.
It's like, right, we got rid of all the humans. They were doing all of this, environmental destruction and all of this war. Now let's go ahead and do lots of environmental destruction and war.
In that case,
You know,
are the mice gonna
It's
be
nice, though. It's
really teeny tiny in this human-built abbey? Are we even gonna see them on screen when we're looking at the staircase?
fun.
It's
It
just
just
Oh,
the whole series turns into really nice background shots.
it just takes anytime you want to go down to the Great Hall, it's just a 30-minute walk. You gotta go down a mountain of stairs.
they get really good at bungee cords.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it
Um,
also begs the question: pants or no pants?
Oh no. Are they Donald Ducking it?
Oh, who knows?
Netflix, help us out! Show us the way.
It's the
Well-
most important question of our age.
Matthias says neither. He's gonna get a habit.
Yes, of course.
I don't know what they'll do. I think they're gonna do pants. They're gonna do pants.
They'll probably do pants.
They didn't in the original TV show. Now that I'm looking at it.
Some of the characters
No.
didn't even wear clothes in the novel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
Winifred and Jess Earl, or Winifred
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, I think Jess as well. If I remember right.
Some of the moles just like wore a vest, like an open vest. It's
Like,
kind of
modesty there, Molly. Oh, hi, Mr. Molly.
It was like a personal choice. It's just like-
Very inclusive society. Everyone. Yeah, I wonder. There's a lot. I wonder. Are we gonna get cartoon or CGI? Are we gonna get pants or no pants? What the scale's gonna be?
I was making a joke in the Survivor Discord the other day, and if you've seen the Nelvana cartoon, you might know of a character named Wild Ivy, who is not canon. And most of the Redwall fan base does not like Wild Ivy very much. But I made a joke and asked, "Do you guys think if Wild Ivy will show up?" And for reference, all she does is show up to be a love triangle for Matthias. And
She
so,
shows
like,
up in. Does she even show up in Redwall, or does she show up in Matameo?
oh, she shows up in the Redwall cartoon, the first season.
I blocked her out of my memories.
Yeah, and do you guys think there's gonna be a love triangle for Matthias? That's half a joke, but he meets another cuter mouse who can like sword fight or something.
Oh, let's just throw in Reapacheep and be done with it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Sorry.
Oh, God, yeah.
At
Are
this
they going to
part,
have the sparrows in the attic? And are the sparrows going to be really annoying?
oh no, I didn't even think about the voices.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I realized now that as a kid, I actually in my head shipped like Martin and Gonf.
I mean, who didn't?
But like, I didn't realize that's what I wanted as a kid. But looking back, I'm like, that should have been canon.
That is pure guy love right there.
If Loamhedge gets adapted, Burgoon and Thera will 100% be canon.
Absolutely. There are so many vermin that honestly I'd be like, yeah,
Oh,
those two right
Yeah.
there. Especially on the pirate ships. We all know what goes on there.
Oh, Lord, we do.
I think TV tropes.
San
is an
Pietro
enti-
will never be the same.
I think TV tropes is an entire like paragraph about Picnim Cracklin from Pearls of Lutra. they like dance with each other at like a male female dance, but they're both girls. And like Cracklin dies, and like Picnim and just weeps uncontrollably over her death. And I'm like, yeah, they were dating. 100%.
You kind of get the feeling that it's the sort of thing Jakes wouldn't even have intentionally written.
Oh
He'd
yeah.
have just he'd have had in the back of his mind these two women he knew way back when who really were very excellent friends and they did everything together, and he just wrote them down on paper the way he remembered them. And then everybody else looks at it and goes, Ryan,
Along came Gen Z.
I think you've missed something there, mate. Good lord. Fantastic.
Yeah. So Netflix has a huge opportunity to loop in the LGBTQ.
Why the heck not? Why
Like, they
the heck
should.
not? I want to see it.
I'm just gonna casually link the Hoye page on TV Tropes Redwall.
And we'll be including that link on the bottom of the screen here.
Because it is very long.
Okay.
Oh lord. Let's have a look. Oh, it has a specific Redwall section, and it is oh my word, that's a fair amount for.
Somebody put some time and effort into this. I'm very impressed.
Yes, two very excited girls, I'm sure.
Fantastic.
Oh my god.
Sorry, I'm reading this paragraph, and 100% if we get a Martin the Warrior adaptation, Clog will definitely be Bad Rings X. 100%.
Oh yeah. I mean, isn't that canon already? Isn't that like implied?
It's like implied, but
I mean, Ublaz is like Ublaz. We all know Ublaz.
oh, 100%.
Ublaz. Yeah. He likes. He has his own tailor, and I just, those
He really
eyes
likes...
that he's always batting around.
Sorry, I don't know how age appropriate this talk is, but he has an obsession with silk and rosy pearls.
He's after the pearls.
Yeah, he's after pearls.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's come on. Like, there's so much opportunity. If Netflix doesn't take advantage of that, they are robbing themselves.
Like, yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, I'm just gonna start wrapping the episode up.
Sure.
And I just want to say, Redwall is really important to me. It got me into writing. It got me into art. It led me to an entire community that I have been a part of for decades, and I still hold close ties with. Some of my closest friends are from the ROC. I'm super excited for this Netflix release. I hope it goes really well. I hope we don't get mouse guarded. Do you guys want to end by just telling everyone why this is important to you? Because, otherwise, who cares? It's Redwall. Yeah, it's older than all of us, but still, we're here, clinging on, tooth and nail, whisker, claw.
Speak for yourself. I am exactly as old as Redwall. First book came out
the
when
ancient
I was
one.
the same year
The
I was
ancient
born.
one is here.
Yes. That's actually really weird. I didn't know Redwall was released in 1986 until I looked at this Wikipedia article. So, yeah, hi, I'm very old. Oh, why am I here? Okay. I don't know. It was a very big part of my childhood. It was a very big part of my identity for a long time. Because, you're a kid in a school, and the school is full of people who are a lot smarter than I was. And I had this place to go at lunchtime, and I'd go to the computer room and I'd log on and I'd write something for somewhere. And that was it. I did that for about 5 years on and off until suddenly Tarouge fell into my lap, and then just a lot of other stuff happened. And it would be very nice to know that people still care enough for it to be turned into a TV show. And I'm really curious to see how they refresh it for the modern. I love retelling.
It's great, man. Aaron, how about you, bud?
So, like I mentioned earlier, I got Redwall just randomly as a Christmas present. Read it, I guess, over a month or so. Immediately wanted to read Mossflower, and from there, kind of devoured the whole series. I didn't really get into the ROC until like 2008, seven or eight, or somewhere around there. I can't recall when, but it may have been a little bit later than that. But anyways, since kind of joining this community, I've kind of I feel like Redwall is kind of a part of like who I am, because it's made me meet a ton of people and made me like form relationships with just a lot of different unique individuals. I've written with them and done art collabs with them. I wrote a ton of Redwall fan fiction, which got me into writing and things like that. And I don't know, I feel like I wouldn't quite be where I am now, have the same interests as I did had I not really read those books.
Yeah, it's a strong similar feeling there. I don't think any of us would be here without Redwall, of course.
Right.
I mean, like, it goes the same, but the fact that we all wound up here from different walks of life and it's still so dear to us. Chelsey, I know you weren't ever really a part of the ROC, but you did read Redwall as a child. Why is the cartoon so exciting for you?
Mostly I think, yeah, because it's a retelling. I think I've given this series a lot more thought over the years than I've noticed, like talking about like the sizes, and I think I've just spent a couple of hours just like thinking about that, or like the vermin critter like back and forth. So it's kind of just like lived in the back of my brain. So seeing it updated, seeing it come back to life would be actually kind of nice, and to see like what a modern interpretation of that looks like.
Yeah. It's funny how it sticks with you. It's one of those worlds where you get just enough information to get engaged, and it's really what you're not told that keeps you hungry for more.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is a fantastic series, and I'm glad it's important to you guys, because it certainly is important to me. I don't know where I'd be without Redwall. Probably somewhere very boring. But
Yeah.
I mean, like, we got an American here. We got here. We got some Canucks. Like, the series really does strike a chord with many people. So I am super excited for the new Netflix movie and series. Once again, all in quotation marks.
Yep.
And I really hope all our listeners out there are really happy that this is happening too. I want to thank you all for listening. I want to extend a really hearty thank you to my guests, Airan, Nara, and of course, Chelsey.
Thank you for hosting.
Oh, my pleasure. I wouldn't have a show if it weren't for you. It'd just be me cracking wise for like 2 hours.
I'm sure
I'd
someone
be
would listen.
entertained. Next time on FOXPENMANSHIP, I'm actually going to be talking about fan contributions. So if the series is as important to you as it is to me, there's some fantastic fan artists out there. There's fantastic fan fictions writers out there. I have Lucas from Redwall Beach. Y'all remember him as the fellow that wrote the Redwall recipe book. So, yes. Yeah, it's going to be good. I'm going to make scones.
Fantastic.
So join us next time if you can. Once again, thank you for listening. Thank you to my guests. Y'all have a fantastic and safe evening. Thank you very much.
You as well. Thank you.
Have a lot of fun.
Yay.
All right. I'm
Excellent.
going to stop the